Hello and welcome to All You Ever Wanted to Know. I'm Jordan Patswold. Once a month, we get to chat with our friends from LR Future Insurance and Investments. Today, talking insurance on that side of the coin. Sheila and Karen Renton joining us in the Rock Studios today. It's great to have you both here. How are you doing on this fine April morning? Spring here, or isn't it? I can't tell yet.
Oh, I think it's here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll still get one more something along the lines when it comes to white stuff, but here's hoping it doesn't stick around. Great to have you both here today. Thanks for coming in.
Thank
Jordan. You for having us.
All right. As I mentioned, talking insurance today, particularly around the home. This has been something that has really hit home for a lot of people in this province and this area specifically, whether we go back to 2010 with the horrific Canada Day flood, which really opened a lot of people's eyes into what insurance is really all about and coverages and all the rest, from things like farmland, from things to other types of things that insurance can and cannot cover. We'll go through all of that today on the program. So we'll start things off with, I guess, the basic home insurance, what people need to know when it comes to home insurance and what's available for them at a place like LR.
Well, I think a lot of people, I think their one worried is, am I insured properly? And I mean, there's 4 different ways to insure. Some people might think that they need to have the best insurance, which isn't always the case. We have 4 different kinds of insurance. They're called, every insurance company is different when it comes to the type of insurance they have. Mm-hmm. Ours basically is a home pack A, B, C, and D. Okay, D being the best insurance you can buy, which is all risk on your house, all risk on your contents.
And what does that mean exactly?
Well, you're basically covered for everything, but unfortunately, some insurance, like, they don't cover flood or
no one does,
or
though.
seepage. No,
I'm sure a lot of people came forward asking, well, find me one that does. It just doesn't exist.
Yes. I know that the insurance companies are looking into something like that covering flood, but I mean, it's just been unreal the last 4 years, 2010, 2014, the rain and the storms that we have had. Mm-hmm. But the D coverage is pretty much, your best insurance you can buy. Then they have what's called a C coverage. Now, a C coverage is still all risk on your house, but named perils on your contents.
Okay.
So what I'm going to say about named perils, like, what it doesn't cover is something like mysterious disappearance. But then you look at your deductible, you look at losing your claims-free discount for 3 years, so something pretty big's going to have to mysteriously disappear. Mm-hmm. Okay? Then they have the B coverage, which is the opposite. It's named perils on the house and all risk on their contents. So mysterious disappearance is covered in that situation, but as far as named perils on the house, something like spilt paint on the carpet isn't covered, or you pulled a fridge out and ripped the linoleum. Basically anything attached to the house is not covered. Okay? Then they have the home pack A was just your basic insurance. It's named perils on the house, named perils on your contents. So if a person's just worried about fire, wind, hail, theft, you have coverage through your basic insurance. But there is some stipulations, and I can read some of the insured perils because nobody knows what named perils actually means.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah,
and
that's
I
fine.
mean, that's the language of insurance again. So your insured perils include in every package fire or lightning, explosion, smoke, falling object, which is one that I constantly getting a phone call about. Well, if my neighbor's tree falls on my house, am I covered? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Impact by aircraft and land vehicle, which has happened.
It has.
Vandalism or malicious acts. Now, there's a stipulation in this one. Vandalism or malicious acts isn't covered if your dwelling is under construction or vacant. So those are the stipulations you're going to look at when if you want to come in and buy just the basic insurance. This isn't covered in, you want to make sure you know those particulars. Riot, water escape, rupture, or freezing. Okay, so it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't cover continuous seepage or leakage, that kind of stuff, groundwater, which is your flooding and that kind of stuff. Windstorm hail, so it still covers your roof for
Does cover those, okay.
yeah, and tornado, that's another one I always get asked about. Am I covered for tornado? Windstorm basically is considered
Right.
the tornado.
Yeah, because that has also been a factor for a lot of people I know in the area. Sometimes you get those gale force winds, and they can certainly leave their mark.
Well, I think that one summer, I think we had like 5 or 6 warnings for tornadoes, so a person just doesn't know. Then there's also theft, including attempted theft, but that basically, too, there's got to be proof of theft.
Well, is that like an attempted theft being that like damage that was left from someone who maybe attempted a burglary? Is that kind of what that means?
Exactly. Like, I mean, kicking open your door, breaking a window, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's when you're going to know that somebody has been into your house. So, transportation, collision, upset, that kind of stuff is covered. Glass breakage, collapse, earthquake.
Don't have to worry about that one as much in Saskatchewan, but good to know.
Well, you just never know nowadays.
Well, that's
eh?
true. Well, the online listeners, if they're in another part of the province or
Yeah.
country even, so.
Absolutely, because I mean that includes snowslide, ice slide, landslide, all that kind of stuff as well. And the last one is power fluctuation, and I mean there has been some where you get a power surge and all of a sudden your TV doesn't work or your fridge doesn't work, your freezer, that kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff happens. So when I say, named perils, those are your named perils that you're insured through any other. What you're doing is just upgrading from basic package to package.
Right. So the lesser or the less expensive package, the fewer perils, is that what we're talking?
Yes.
Like severe incidences of weather or any kind of disaster. So those would all be then, depending on the insurance coverage, is what you would be able to be eligible to make a claim for.
Absolutely, and you've got to understand what your coverages are, what they aren't, because I know everybody doesn't read these policy booklets. I mean, there's so much in there to read that, so sit down with your broker and go through your insurance. Make sure you've got, what you need. Comprehensive coverage. I mean, all risk on your house, all risk on your contents. If you're a person that has a lot of jewelry, that kind of stuff. But I also say that, you're better off getting appraisals done on it and schedule it on your policy. That way it's only $100 deductible rather than a $5,000 or $1,000 deductible.
Okay.
And then you've got that, you're covered fully.
So there are lots of options out there for people depending on what they are able to afford, the kind of valuables they keep in their home. Every case, it really can sometimes stand on its own basis and I guess can set a precedent for what someone actually wants covered and included in their insurance. Because I think that's what sometimes it comes down for people is while, yes, insurance is something very important they have to consider, they have to make it work with their budgets. And so at least some coverage, of course, is better than no coverage
Absolutely.
at all.
Absolutely. And I mean, other things can be added on to your insurance policy. We've got boat season coming up, ATV. That kind of stuff can be added on to your homeowners. We do have a company that does standalone for ATVs and mountain bikes, that kind of thing. And I'm finding that these bikes are getting more expensive too. These people that are biking through trails and that. So I mean, just sit down with your broker and understand what you have coverage for. Because I mean, I have people that come in and I'll go, well, who you insured with? I don't know. I said, well, what company? I don't know. And it gets disheartening that they don't even know who they're insured with or, so yeah, I would sit down with your broker and just make sure that you do know what
you're covered with and everything like that for sure. And I think what sometimes can cause that confusion is like, I know, for example, like I come to LR for home insurance just on a personal basis. And so when I do get bills, there is an LR logo nearby, but there's also other companies though that play into it as well. So I wouldn't necessarily yes, I know I have a representative in Yorkton I can contact, but then it's also part of a much larger organization, right? Those partnering agencies, or how would you what do you describe them as?
We're basically brokerages.
Okay.
Okay, we're not the insurance company. So who you're insured with would be the insurance company,
Wawanesa, for example.
SGI, Mennonite Mutual, Germania, those kind of companies. Those are your insurance companies. But your brokerage would be somebody like LR Future, Farrell's, Western Financial, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and what's important then too is why then not go directly to them. What's the advantage of then some coming to then LR instead of going directly with them? What would you say?
Well, I must say that we are up for Customer Service Award this year through the Chamber of Commerce. So we're pretty proud of that because I think at LR Future we do go out. I love to sit down with people and explain the coverages that they have. And I've had people come in and say, I've learned more in this 10 minutes than I have in 30 years of having insurance. So when you hear things like that, it just gives me the goosies. Yeah.
Well, it's a comforting feeling for sure, but then also makes you worried that there's a few more people out there that maybe aren't covered because they don't know some of those things.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, some coverage is better than no coverage. And an example is the old hospital that burnt down. How many people in there had tenant insurance? As far as I know, 2 people.
Wow.
And, it's so important, but we're finding that what's happening now where landlords are actually getting proof that people do have their own insurance. I mean, come in, buy a $15,000 tenant pack. I mean, when when your place burns down and you're all out of sorts, it also gives you some coverage for going to get a hotel room till you do find somewhere to live, or rent something else till you do find somewhere to live.
So that's called tenant insurance, is it?
It's tenant insurance. So it just covers your contents, but I think the most important is liability as well. You got $1 million liability. If it's ever proven that you were negligent and left something and started the fire, they can turn around and sue you. So, I mean, it's for $10 a month.
That's it, hey?
Yeah, for tenant insurance. So.
To have everything in your place covered and being able to get a fresh start, if you will, a lot more easily than, say, having to, I know there have been lots of great charity initiatives that sometimes get started in the wake of those, but not having to rely on them obviously can go a long way.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, for $15,000, it'll get you a new bed, a couch, chair, all the basics that you do need. Even when you look at the clothes you have. You start adding up those pairs of socks and everything, it starts adding up. So, I mean, I would just encourage anybody out there that's renting, whether it's a house, a condo, a apartment, whatever, buy some tenant insurance just to have yourself covered.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is that very similar to then condo insurance?
Yeah, condo insurance, they're quite a bit alike. With condo insurance, though, you're insuring the 4 walls and everything within.
Okay.
So you're actually insuring, the carpet, the cupboards, the bathtub, the toilet, all that kind of stuff. So you do need a little bit more coverage when it comes to a condo pack.
Yeah.
But again, the liability is probably the most important.
Well, with the condo as well, technically, or maybe I am mistaken on this, the actual property, though, that the condo is on, if a condo, people are putting in mortgages and things of that nature that are equal to an actual house. When someone gets a condo, it would obviously be a bit more different than renters in another way as well, just because there's that mortgage attached value to it as well.
Yeah, what they do when they have a condo is they have a condo association.
Okay.
So they insure the actual building.
Gotcha.
Okay. The condo tenant basically has a condo package, but they're still responsible for the 4 walls and everything inside.
Okay.
Whereas a tenant pack, it's just basically your contents. That you're so that's the difference between a condo and a tenant, because I know people get confused with that as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
You're listening to All You Ever Wanted to Know today, chatting with Sheila and Karen Renton with LR Future Insurance and Investments. Something I've often wondered about, and maybe this varies from insurance provider to insurance provider, is what people need to do to make sure they're covered when they go away on vacation. Does that depend on, I guess, a provider, or are there general rules that apply to making sure that someone's still covered in the event something happens when someone's away on vacation?
Well, that's a good question, because a lot of people ask, because we got a lot of snowbirds that go away for the winter. So I mean, I would suggest anyway, I would get somebody to check on your house daily. Whether it's to pick up the mail or water plants or whatever. And I would suggest to keep a journal. the person that's looking after the property. They had one claim down south, which I thought was kind of weird, but anyway, a guy had went in the morning to get the mail, checked the house out, everything was good, and he left. He didn't go back till the next evening, and when he went to unlock the door, he burnt his hand. And they called the fire department. Here what happened was, when he was there in that morning, the furnace never quit running. So it melted everything plastic in the house, melted anything wax in the house. But that just goes to show you that, it can happen within hours.
Yeah.
So I always suggest at least twice a week to, every second day, go check on it, get somebody to check on it. You usually have your water turned off and that kind of stuff, because there's no coverage for a pipe burst if the house is vacant.
All right.
So that was a good question.
Mm-hmm. Other things related to insurance that we, I guess, want to make sure people are aware of. What else do you usually catch people off guard by saying, "Oh yeah, we totally cover that," and that people wouldn't normally expect?
Yeah. Well, I think too, another thing people are worried about is claims.
Okay.
Like, how are the adjusters to deal with and that kind of stuff. But, I can honestly say in these last 2 storms that we've had, our adjusters from our companies have been wonderful. And people are always panicking. And, when you phone on a weekend and they don't know what to do, they usually Facebook me or phone me. But, like when you come home to a sewer backup, for instance, the first thing you do is try and clean up as much as you can. Call a restoration company. If you've got sewer backup coverage on your policy, you're covered. So this way you're just preventing more damage, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
It's kind of your job as a homeowner as well to do that, because minimum amount of damage is better.
Exactly.
So,
well, and I think what's important as well, and for people to really recognize, is the value of having like a local agent, being able to help guide through the process. You alluded to some people even Facebook messaging you. Chances are you're not going to get a quick reply if you're trying to approach an insurance company's national Facebook page and trying to get a plea for help in that regard.
Yeah.
It'll obviously be a lot more tricky, whereas if you are able to contact someone local, although you probably don't want too many Facebook messages piling up, but just having that available to people, knowing that there are representatives right next to them in the same city who are willing, I guess, to go to bat for you in some regards too, or guiding through the process at least of these are the steps that you need to do. Rather than not knowing for sure, going through maybe some unnecessary steps to be able to, I guess, make things go a little bit quicker is obviously the best option for all, and easiest and comforting when things start to go wrong around a home along the lines like that.
Oh, absolutely. And people they stress. Like these last 2 storms we've had, people have stressed over stuff. Whereas, you know what? Thank God nobody lost a life.
Yeah.
So...
In any of these cases, at least around Yorkton, in light of those storms or even farmland flooding, things along those lines, it really does put things into perspective on the things that do matter the most in life. So anything else today really we want to get to? I know we've covered a lot of ground today, but leave it to you if we have anything else we want to get out there.
Well, I just wanted to get out there that keep your eyes and ears open. LR Future is starting to have some Life Matters seminars. Sorry, Jordan.
No problem.
And it's going to be a lot on investing, helping kids understand investing. Even insurance.
Okay.
Like with these kids going away to school and that. Come and talk to us.
Well, it goes a long way. The sooner someone can learn and understand the merits of what it's all about, the sooner someone looks at putting away money for themselves, the less stress that there can be later in life.
Absolutely.
So, all right, wonderful. Thanks so much for being here today on the program. Also, congratulations on that nomination with the Chamber of Commerce
Thank
Celebrate
you.
Success Business Awards. We'll find out by the next time you're here whether or not if you become a winner, but a nomination is still great at the same time. So,
Absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely.
It's been great to have you here. Thanks so much again.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
Karen and Sheila Renton from LR Future Insurance and Investments. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today, feel free to give them a call, 306-783-7737 or 7 Broadway Street West. This has been all you ever wanted to know. Until next time, have yourselves a wonderful day and be blessed.